Hi, I'm Michael from Charlotte, and this is my watch story. This is my great-grandpa's Royce manual wound watch from the 1950s, and it came into my possession after my great-grandma's move across the country. The watch ended up in a junk box by mistake, and after passing hands a couple times, it found its way down to me. And at the time, I wasn't too big of a hobbyist in the watch world. I had a couple quartz pieces. I'd actually just learned that you could change straps on a watch, which is very exciting at the time, and it still is today. But when I got this watch, I wanted to go a step further with the research, and as I went through each step, I felt as though I was growing closer to my great-grandfather, which was somebody that I unfortunately didn't get to know in my life. So after some general search engine searches, I had learned that Royce went out of business a very long time ago, and the internet is not flooded with records on their history and manufacturing procedures and whatnot. Luckily, Hodinkee and the Hodinkee shop were selling a Royce chronograph around the same time that I was doing this research, so I was able to leverage a lot of their write-up as well as old eBay listings and their item descriptions on the history of the brand and what makes each of the pieces unique. After kind of poking around on the forums for a couple months and trying to read what others had posted about vintage timepieces and the sentimental value, I thought I'd pose the question myself and post this watch and see if anybody knew anything specific about it. And in that process, not only did I find a new fun hobby in photography at the request of the forum readers who had asked for more detailed photos of the movements, they could identify it and all these great things. But I also found a wonderful community that was so supportive and was incredibly informative and helpful every step along the way. And the watch community has been nothing but that in the entire process. So after I got some responses, I learned that the service cost was likely going to cost more than at the time anything in my collection. So I tucked it away for a couple years, and somewhere down the road, my great-grandmother was talking to me about the watch and decided to pass on her wedding rings. And she told me, these are the rings that your great-grandpa gave me when we got married. Now you have this watch. And that was always something that I kind of thought of as a very nice moment. I was never able to see my great-grandparents together, so I was in a position to potentially put these two objects close together and hold them in that place so that not only were they at the front of my mind, but the front of my heart as well. So after my great-grandmother had passed a couple months later, I really wanted to get the watch fixed. And at this time, I'd been in the hobby for a couple more years, so I was more familiar with the process, and I built relationships with watchmakers, and I found someone that did truly an incredible job on restoring this watch. Fortunately, they were able to keep everything original. And what I love about that is even though this watch is beat up and banged and bruised all over and scratched, every single nick on this watch has a story. And while I don't know what that story is, and unfortunately never will, it's there. And I can't help but wonder every time I look at one of these scratches or when I look at the time to wonder what my great-grandfather was doing the last time he was wearing that watch. So now with this watch and this photograph, and a journey that's taken me through photography, through multiple hobbies, and to where I am now, where I've been bitten by the watch bug and I've been down the rabbit hole. I really have this watch to thank. So I'm Michael, and that's the story of my 1950s Royce watch.